In the tapestry of American small towns, Dadeville, Alabama whispers a story that would alter the landscape of innocence. Population 3,141. A dot on the map where red clay roads win through memories, and front porches hold generations of unspoken tales. December 13th, 2022, but our story begins long before that fateful day. It begins with a mother, Alicia Adams, 27 years old, a fighter, a dreamer, a woman whose entire universe revolved around one precious soul, her daughter, Kamarie Holland. Alicia wasn't born into privilege. She was a daughter of struggle, of resilience. Working multiple jobs, she carved out a life of determination in a town where opportunities often felt as narrow as the two-lane highways cutting through Alabama's heartland. Each shift at the local diner, each late-night balancing spreadsheets was a love letter to her daughter. Kamari Holland, 5 years old, a tornado of energy wrapped in pigtails and sparkly sneakers. Her laugh, a sound that could slice through the heaviest silence, transforming ordinary moments into extraordinary memories. She wasn't just a child. She was possibility incarnate. Their home on Friendship Lane wasn't grand, but it was alive. Walls decorated with Kamari's artwork, stick-figure families, rainbows drawn with such fierce imagination that they seemed to leap off construction paper. Family photos capturing moments of pure, unfiltered joy. A life not defined by wealth, but by love's immeasurable currency. Kamari attended Dadeville Elementary. Teachers would later describe her as remarkable, not just for her intelligence, but for her heart. The kind of child who shared her lunch, who stopped to help a classmate tie their shoes, who saw the world with eyes untouched by cynicism. Her mother, Alicia, worked tirelessly to provide. A waitress by day, a bookkeeper by night. Her hands told stories of hard work, calluses that spoke of sacrifice, of dreams deferred but never abandoned. Every extra hour was another opportunity for Kamari. In a town where everyone knows everyone, the Adams Holland family was a thread in Dadeville's intricate social fabric. Supported by a network of friends, family, neighbors who understood the meaning of community long before it became a trendy concept. But beneath the surface of this seemingly ordinary life, something extraordinary was brewing. A love so profound, a bond so intense, that it would soon be tested in ways no mother should ever experience. Little did Alicia know that the morning of December 13th, 2022, would be the last time she would see her daughter's smile, the last time she would hear Kamari's laughter echo through their small home. This is not just a story of tragedy. This is a testament to a mother's love, to a community's heart, to the fragile line between an ordinary day and a moment that changes everything. Prepare to witness a journey of unimaginable pain, of inexplicable loss, of a darkness that would challenge everything Dadeville thought it knew about safety, about trust, about the very fabric of human connection. Kamari Holland's story is about to unfold. Some stories cut deeper than others. They reach beyond mere facts, beyond headlines, touching something raw and fundamental in our collective soul. This is one such story. Dadeville, Alabama. A town where whispers travel faster than truth, where every street corner holds a memory, and every shadow conceals a secret. December 13th, 2022, a date that would become a watershed moment in this community's history. Alicia Adams was not just a mother. She was a fortress of love, constructed from determination and hope. Her daughter, Kamari Holland, 5 years old, with eyes that sparkled like newly minted promises, was her entire universe. Their life wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. The morning began with ordinary magic. Breakfast, laughter, the routine dance of getting ready, Kamari's purple coat, her mismatched socks, the way she hummed while tying her shoes, a melody only a child could compose. No one could have predicted the horror waiting just beyond the horizon. Witnesses would later speak of that morning, the crisp December air, the way sunlight caught the frost on window panes, how everything seemed normal. But in the world of true crime, normal is often just a mask hiding something far more terrifying. At 10:37 a.m., the first call came into the Tallapoosa County Sheriff's Office. A mother's voice, trembling, desperate. "My daughter is missing." Those 4 words, simple, devastating. Jose Manuel Gonzalez, a name that would soon become synonymous with nightmare. A 37-year-old man living mere moments from the Adams family. Proximity, a word that would take on a chilling new meaning in the hours to come. The community mobilized with a speed that spoke of deep-rooted connection. Pickup trucks lined Friendship Lane. Volunteers gathered. Search parties formed with military-like precision. But beneath the organized chaos, a fundamental question burned: where was Kamari? Hours passed. Each minute stretched like an elastic band about to snap. Social media exploded. Kamari's school photo, pigtails, missing front tooth, eyes full of impossible hope, became a beacon of collective prayer and desperation. But something was wrong. Something beyond a typical missing child case. The Alabama Bureau of Investigation arrived. Specialized units. Tracking dogs. Helicopters scanning an unforgiving landscape that seemed to hold its breath. As darkness fell, a more sinister question emerged. What truly happened to Kamari Holland between her morning goodbye and the encroaching night? The truth was waiting, hidden in plain sight. Watching, waiting. What secrets lay buried in the quiet spaces of Dadeville, and how would they change everything? Darkness descended on Dadeville like a heavy curtain, transforming hope into a razor's edge of desperation. The first 24 hours of a missing child investigation are a mathematical equation of terror, each passing minute multiplying the potential for irreversible loss. By 6:17 p.m. on December 13, 2022, the landscape of the search had transformed. What began as a mother's concern call had erupted into a full-scale community mobilization that would test the very soul of small-town Alabama. Sheriff Jimmy Abbott of the Tallapoosa County Sheriff's Office knew this was no ordinary missing persons case. His weathered hands, which had seen decades of rural law enforcement, moved with a precision that spoke of both experience and mounting dread. The Alabama Bureau of Investigation descended upon Friendship Lane, specialized units, forensic experts, tracking dogs whose keen senses seemed to breathe with a collective urgency. Every square inch of terrain became a potential crime scene, every shadow a possible clue. Social media became a digital war room. Kamari's school photo, that innocent smile, those bright eyes, spread like wildfire. Local Facebook groups, typically reserved for community yard sales and church announcements, now pulsed with a singular mission: find Kamari Holland. Elysia Adams, a name that would become synonymous with a mother's unbreakable spirit. She moved between hope and terror, her world reduced to a singular prayer: bring my daughter home. Volunteers arrived from everywhere. Farmers, teachers, local church members, strangers who understood that in small communities, a missing child is everyone's child. Pickup trucks lined the streets. Flashlights cut through dense Alabama woodlands. Search parties formed with a military-like precision that spoke of collective trauma. But something was different. Something felt wrong. Local law enforcement began to piece together a timeline that made less and less sense. Kamari's last known location, the sequence of events, the inexplicable gaps that seemed to swallow her entire existence. José Manuel Gonzalez's name began to surface, not just as a neighbor, not just as a potential witness, but something more. By midnight, the temperature had dropped. Frost covered the ground like a silent witness. Helicopters with powerful searchlights scanned the unforgiving landscape. Each sweep of light felt like a pulse of collective hope and collective fear. The media arrived. Local news stations, then regional networks, cameras that transformed a personal tragedy into a public spectacle. Each reporter spoke in hushed, urgent tones, each broadcast a desperate plea disguised as information. But beneath the organized search, beneath the professional composure of law enforcement, a fundamental question burned with increasing intensity. What happened to Kamari Holland between morning and night? Between a mother's goodbye and a community's growing terror? And more terrifyingly, was she still alive? Something was hiding. Something was waiting. Just beyond the reach of understanding. Who knew the truth? And at what cost would it be revealed? 48 hours. A lifetime compressed into 2 days of unbearable uncertainty. In the world of criminal investigations, time is not a linear construct. It's a living, breathing entity that warps and twists, expanding and contracting with each passing moment. For the investigators searching for Kamari Holland, every second felt like an eternity suspended between hope and horror. The Tallapoosa County Sheriff's Office transformed. What began as a standard missing persons investigation had mutated into something far more complex. Bulletin boards covered in maps, string-connecting photographs, timelines meticulously constructed, the anatomy of a mystery taking shape. Sheriff Jimmy Abbott understood something fundamental: in small towns, everyone is connected. Every relationship, every interaction becomes a potential thread in unraveling the truth. Background checks began. Not just cursory reviews, but deep, invasive investigations that peeled back layers of community history. José Manuel González, a name that had begun to echo with increasing frequency, became the focal point of intense scrutiny. Forensic teams worked with a precision that bordered on surgical, trace evidence, microscopic details, the kind of investigation that turns minutes into hours of meticulous examination. Alesia Adams moved like a ghost through this landscape of investigation. A mother's intuition is not just emotion. It's a form of intelligence that defies traditional understanding. She knew something was fundamentally wrong. The community of Dadeville began to fracture. Whispers replaced conversations. Neighbors looked at each other differently. Trust, that invisible thread that held their small town together, began to fray. Local law enforcement brought in specialized units, behavioral analysts, crime scene specialists. Each expert added another layer to a puzzle that seemed to resist completion. By the third day, the psychological toll became evident. Search team members spoke in hushed tones. Their eyes carried a weight that spoke of something beyond professional concern. This was personal now. This was about more than just finding a missing child. Forensic evidence started to paint a picture. Not a complete image, but fragments. Pieces that suggested something far more terrifying than a simple disappearance. José Manuel González's background emerged. Not just a name, not just a neighbor, but a complex tapestry of connections that seemed to defy coincidence. Interviews, background checks, digital forensics. Each avenue of investigation revealed something more disturbing than the last. The breaking point was approaching. That moment when investigation transforms into something else entirely. Something darker. Something more dangerous. What secrets were hiding in plain sight? And how close were investigators to uncovering a truth that would shatter everything? One question hung in the air, sharp as a blade. Who was José Manuel González, really? I know this was a heavy one, but these stories need to be told. If you're feeling it, give this video a thumbs up and share it to spread awareness. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join our true crime community. For those of you who've been here a while, you know I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. December 15th, 2022. A date that would be etched into the collective memory of Dadeville, Alabama. A day when hope would collide with an unimaginable reality. The morning broke differently. The air itself seemed to carry a weight of anticipation. Something had changed. The collective breath of an entire community hung suspended between prayer and terror. At 10:23 a.m., a breakthrough. Not the breakthrough anyone had prayed for. Not the miracle they had desperately wanted. Kamari Holland was found. Less than 2 miles from her home. A distance so short. A journey so incomprehensible. The location? A residence on Pine Street. Close enough to be seen. Far enough to be a universe away. But José Manuel González's address. A name that had been whispered, speculated, now brought into the harsh light of absolute tragedy. Law enforcement moved with a precision that spoke of professional training and personal anguish. The Tallapoosa County Sheriff's Office. The Alabama Bureau of Investigation. Each officer carrying the weight of a community's shattered hopes. Sheriff Jimmy Abbott would later describe the moment in testimony that would break hearts. Not with dramatic flourish, but with the raw, unvarnished language of someone who has witnessed humanity's darkest corners. Forensic teams arrived. Their white suits. Their careful movements. Each step a choreography of professional detachment and human grief. Alesia Adams. A mother's worst nightmare materialized, not in the abstract, but in the most concrete, devastating way possible. The community of Dadeville stood frozen. Church bells that would typically mark afternoon prayers seemed to toll a different kind of message, a requiem for innocence lost. Details would emerge slowly, carefully, each revelation a knife's edge of pain. José Manuel González, a name that would become synonymous with unspeakable violation, a 37-year-old man, living mere moments from the family he would destroy. Proximity, a word that would take on a chilling new meaning. The investigation shifted, from search to something far more consequential, from hope to justice. Kamarie Holland, a 5-year-old girl whose life was reduced to a crime scene, whose entire existence was now defined by the most horrific of circumstances. Her purple coat, her sparkle, her potential, erased. But questions remained, burning, urgent. How could this happen? In a community where everyone knows everyone? In a place where doors were left unlocked and children played freely? What darkness had been hiding in plain sight? And most terrifyingly, what would be revealed in the days to come? In the intricate dance of criminal investigation, suspects are not born. They emerge, like shadows taking shape in the harsh light of evidence. Josmanuel Gonzalez, a name that would become etched in the darkest chapters of Tallapoosa County's history. Not just a neighbor, not just a statistic, but a complex puzzle that investigators would painstakingly deconstruct. Born in Mexico, Gonzalez had made Dadeville his home. A 37-year-old man whose life had been seemingly unremarkable until this moment. Construction worker. Resident of Pine Street. Someone who had blended into the fabric of small-town life so perfectly that invisibility became his most dangerous trait. Investigators began to peel back layers, not with dramatic flourish but with methodical precision. Digital footprints, employment records, social connections. Each document, each interview revealed another fragment of a disturbing narrative. The proximity was what first caught investigators' attention. Less than 2 miles from Kamarie's home. Close enough to watch. Close enough to know. Close enough to act. Phone records, surveillance footage, witness statements, each piece of evidence connected like a dark, intricate web. Gonzalez wasn't just a random suspect. He was a calculated presence in a community that prided itself on knowing everyone's business. Sheriff Jimmy Abbott and his team worked with a focus that went beyond professional duty. This was personal. This was about protecting the most vulnerable. Background checks revealed a history that raised red flags. Previous interactions with law enforcement. Patterns of behavior that, in retrospect, seemed like warning signs screaming to be heard. Forensic teams meticulously collected evidence. Not just physical traces, but the kind of evidence that tells a story beyond fingerprints and DNA. The story of a predator who had calculated every move. Interviews with neighbors painted a chilling picture. The quiet man. The one who seemed to fade into the background. The one nobody really knew, but everyone had seen. Technology became the investigator's most powerful tool. Cell phone data, GPS tracking, digital breadcrumbs that would help reconstruct the most terrifying 48 hours in Dadeville's history. As the investigation intensified, a fundamental question burned with increasing urgency. How does a community protect itself from a threat that lives right next door? But Gonzalez was more than a suspect now. He was a symbol of something darker, something that challenged everything Dadeville thought it knew about safety. What would the evidence reveal, and could justice truly be served? Justice. A word that carries more weight than mere letters. In Dadeville, Alabama, justice would become a crucible of pain, revelation, and community reckoning. December 16, 2022. The moment Josmanuel Gonzalez was arrested marked more than a legal procedure. It was a collective exhale of a community holding its breath. The Tallapoosa County Detention Center would become the stage for a drama that would expose the darkest corners of human capacity for evil. Charges read like a litany of horror: capital murder, kidnapping, words that transformed a neighborhood dispute into a battlefield of moral reckoning. District Attorney Jeremy Doerr prepared a case that would become more than a legal proceeding. This was about accountability, about protecting the most vulnerable, about a community's promise to its children. Gonzalez's history began to unravel. Not just a neighbor, not just a name, but a complex tapestry of interactions that defied simple explanation. Forensic evidence told a story prosecutors would carefully construct. Each piece of evidence a fragment of a nightmare. DNA, trace materials, digital records, the cold, clinical language of investigation painting a picture of unimaginable violation. Alesia Adams sat in courtrooms, her presence a testament to a mother's strength, not broken, not defeated, but a force of pure, unbreakable determination. The legal process would become a ritual of healing. Each hearing, each testimony a step towards understanding how such a tragedy could occur in a community that prided itself on connection and care. Local law enforcement stood ready. Sheriff Jimmy Abbott, a man who had seen decades of investigation, approached the case with a combination of professional detachment and personal commitment. Preliminary hearings revealed layers of complexity: Gonzalez's background, his connections, the intricate web of relationships that allowed such a horror to unfold. But beneath the legal proceedings, a fundamental question burned. How does a community heal from such a profound violation? The courtroom would become more than a place of legal proceedings. It would be a sanctuary of truth, a place where a community would confront its darkest moments. What secrets would be revealed? What truths would emerge? And could justice ever truly be served? Grief is not a linear journey. It's a landscape. A terrain of unexpected valleys and impossible mountains. For Alicia Adams, the world had been reduced to a single, unbearable reality: Kamari was gone. In the quiet moments between legal proceedings and media attention, a mother's heart continued to beat, broken, resilient, unbroken. Kamari was more than a case, more than a headline. She was a universe of potential, of laughter, of dreams not yet imagined. Family photographs told a story of joy. Birthdays, holidays, moments captured in digital frames and memory. Each image a knife's edge of remembrance, a life interrupted, a future stolen. Alicia Adams spoke rarely, but when she did, her words carried the weight of immeasurable loss. Not just a mother's grief, but a testament to a love that transcended tragedy. Extended family rallied: aunts, uncles, grandparents. A network of support that becomes a lifeline when the world seems to have collapsed. They carried Alicia, supported her, held her when words failed. Social media became a memorial, a digital sanctuary of memories. Friends, classmates, community members sharing stories of Kamari, her bright smile, her infectious laugh, the way she saw the world with a child's pure, unfiltered wonder. Counselors, victim support groups, they became more than professionals. They became bridges between unbearable pain and potential healing. The legal proceedings became secondary. This was about remembrance, about a life cut short, about a mother's unbreakable love. Kamari's bedroom remained unchanged. A time capsule of childhood, stuffed animals, drawings, school projects, each item a whisper of a life interrupted. In the aftermath of unspeakable loss, a fundamental question emerged. How does a mother survive? How does a family find meaning in the face of such profound darkness? And what legacy would Kamari Holland leave behind? Dadeville transformed, not through destruction but through collective healing. A small Alabama town of 3,141 souls became a testament to human resilience. The tragedy of Kamari Holland didn't break the community, it redefined it. Churches became sanctuaries of support. Local businesses displayed Kamari's photos. School hallways filled with blue ribbons, a symbol of child abuse prevention and remembrance. The Tallapoosa County Child Advocacy Center emerged as a beacon of hope. What began as a response to one family's unimaginable loss became a movement of protection and awareness. Local churches organized candlelight vigils. Counseling programs expanded. Schools implemented new safety protocols. Each action a silent promise: never again. Volunteers created the Kamari Holland Foundation, a grassroots organization dedicated to child safety. Training programs, awareness campaigns, support networks for vulnerable families. Local law enforcement underwent comprehensive child protection training. Background check procedures were overhauled. Community watch programs gained unprecedented participation. Parents held their children closer. Neighbors watched out for one another with newfound intensity. The invisible threads connecting a small town became visible, strengthened by shared grief and collective determination. Local businesses contributed. Fundraisers, scholarship funds, memorial events that transformed pain into positive action. Schools implemented comprehensive child safety curriculums, teaching children about personal boundaries, recognizing warning signs, empowering young people to speak up. The Alabama state legislature began discussions about enhanced child protection laws. Kamari's story became a catalyst for systemic change. A community discovered its true strength not in preventing tragedy, but in how it responded, how it healed, how it transformed unimaginable loss into a promise of protection. What could one child's memory accomplish? How might Kamari Holland change the future? Justice is not a moment. It's a journey through the intricate corridors of legal procedure, where every testimony, every piece of evidence becomes a thread in the fabric of accountability. The Tallapoosa County Courthouse stood as a silent witness. Its weathered brick walls had seen countless stories, but none quite like the case of Jose Manuel Gonzalez and the murder of Kamarie Holland. District Attorney Jeremy Doerr approached the prosecution with a precision that went beyond legal strategy. This was about more than a conviction. This was about a community's promise to protect its most vulnerable. Preliminary hearings revealed a mosaic of evidence: forensic reports, digital records, trace materials that told a story more powerful than words. Each document a piece of a puzzle that would bring closure to a family shattered by unimaginable loss. The defense tried to construct alternative narratives, but the evidence spoke with a clarity that could not be denied. Forensic experts testified. Crime scene investigators detailed their findings. Each professional brought forward a piece of the tragic puzzle, their language clinical, their impact profound. Elysia Adams sat in the courtroom, not as a victim, but as a force of nature, her presence a testament to a mother's unbreakable spirit, every moment a silent tribute to Kamari. The jury selection became a meticulous process, finding individuals who could approach the case with objectivity, who could bear witness to the unthinkable without being consumed by it. Alabama law demanded precision, capital murder charges, special circumstances that reflected the brutality of the crime. The legal system transformed into a mechanism of accountability. Expert witnesses brought scientific clarity. Psychological profilers explained behavioral patterns, each testimony peeling back layers of a horrific narrative. But beyond the legal proceedings, a fundamental question remained. Could any verdict truly bring justice for a life so brutally cut short? Could the judicial system heal a community's wound? Beyond the courtroom, beyond individual tragedy, some stories become catalysts for fundamental change. The case of Kamari Holland expanded far beyond Dadeville's borders. It became a national conversation about child protection, community vigilance, and the invisible threads that connect us all. Child safety experts nationwide began to examine systematic vulnerabilities. How do predators move undetected? What warning signs go unrecognized? What protective mechanisms fail our most vulnerable? Alabama state legislators initiated comprehensive review of child protection laws, background check procedures, reporting mechanisms. Each proposed amendment a direct response to Kamari's story. School districts across multiple states began implementing enhanced safety protocols, training programs for educators, awareness campaigns, specialized counseling resources, a ripple effect of prevention and protection. Child advocacy centers saw unprecedented funding and support. Resources that had been overlooked now received critical attention. Training programs expanded. Community awareness heightened. Law enforcement training underwent significant transformation. Specialized units dedicated to crimes against children received increased resources. Investigative techniques refined. Psychological profiling enhanced. Mental health professionals developed more nuanced approaches to identifying potential risks. Early intervention strategies. Support systems for at-risk families. Comprehensive psychological assessment protocols. Technology became an unexpected ally. Advanced background check systems, digital tracking mechanisms, collaborative databases that could flag potential risks more effectively. One child's tragic story had become a national conversation about protection, about vigilance, about collective responsibility. How many future children might be saved by the lessons learned from Kamari Holland's story? What fundamental changes could emerge from one community's profound loss? Memories are not confined by time. They are living things, breathing, growing, transforming. In the quiet spaces of remembrance, Kamari Holland became more than a tragic story. She became a beacon of hope, a catalyst for change. The Kamari Holland Memorial Fund emerged as a living tribute, not just a collection of donations but a promise, a commitment to protecting children who cannot protect themselves. Local schools began implementing Kamari's safety program, curriculum developed with input from child psychologists, empowerment workshops, awareness training, each lesson a testament to a life cut short. A scholarship was established in her name at Dadeville High School. Annual awards for students demonstrating exceptional compassion and community service. Kamari's spirit would continue to inspire. Community parks received new safety installations, improved lighting, enhanced monitoring systems, playgrounds transformed into safer spaces, small changes that whispered Kamari's name. Local artists created a memorial garden. Blue pine wheels, symbols of childhood innocence, dotted a carefully cultivated space, a place of reflection, of remembrance. Child advocacy centers across Alabama received funding inspired by Kamari's story. Training programs expanded, support networks strengthened, each initiative a living memorial. Her mother, Elijah Adams, became a powerful voice for child protection, speaking at conferences, supporting legislative changes, transforming personal tragedy into collective action. Kamari Holland's legacy was not defined by her death, but by the lives she would continue to touch, the children she would continue to protect. How does a single life create ripples of change that extend far beyond a single moment? What enduring impact can one child's memory generate? Every story leaves an echo. Some fade, some reverberate through generations. Kamari Holland's story is not about an ending, it's about a beginning. In the quiet moments between grief and hope, communities find their true strength, not in preventing every darkness, but in how they respond, how they protect, how they heal. This is a call to action, not just for Dadeville, not just for Alabama, but for every community, every parent, every individual who believes in the sanctity of childhood. Child protection is not a passive act, it's a daily commitment. Know the warning signs, trust your instincts, create safe spaces, listen to children. 3 critical steps every community member can take. First, educate yourself. Understanding protective strategies is the first line of defense. Second, speak up. If something feels wrong, report it. Silence protects perpetrators. Third, support local child advocacy centers. They are the front line in protecting our most vulnerable. Kamari's legacy is not defined by her tragic end. It's defined by the lives we can protect, the children we can save. Her story asks a fundamental question. What will you do to protect the next child? In memory of Kamarie Holland. Protecting children. Transforming communities.